What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for June 3rd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. A very, very special Tuesday edition. We will have our motivation and positivity in a minute. But first, made a little bit of an accounting error yesterday. And today is, in fact, our 1,000th episode. Yay! I'll get more into it, but here we are. 1,000 days ago, this podcast started. Haven't looked back since, but thank you for listening today. I would not be here 1,000 times if there wasn't anybody listening. So I do appreciate it. More on that. But today is our 1,000th episode. But it happens to be a Tuesday, and every Tuesday we do a little positivity / motivation. And today, I really like this. This quote is not necessarily attributed to anybody, and it's not necessarily a quote. It's more a just way to be, a way of life, a way to be better. And I heard this at a professional development I was in last August. So some of these I've been sitting on for a while and just figuring out the right time to do it. And this one, I felt it was a good time to do it. And it's something that I struggle with every single day. But never let the person you're with feel like you have something more important to do. And again, it's just a good general principle of life, because I'm not sure if this is just me or if you out there feel the same way. This is hard. 100% hard, because my mind is constantly racing. Like even at my son's baseball game last night, like in between innings and things, I'm like thinking of ideas for the podcast, thinking about what I have to do at work for the next couple days, thinking about what I'm going to do next weekend and things like that. And you do, and just force yourself. Try to focus on the here and now. Focus on being who you're with in that conversation, whether it's your family, your friends, coworkers, or even the lady at the grocery store. Had an experience like this a couple months ago when I went to the thing with Lenny Wagner. Everybody's asking questions, and I'm focused on the thing with Lenny, and I wanted to make sure, and it was good because I learned a lot from the people, but wanted to make sure I was focused on the specific people that were talking to me instead of thinking like 4 steps ahead and like a chess move. But even if it's a lady at the grocery store who wants to tell you about her grandson or something, try to be present in that moment and not let them think you have something more important to do. And again, it happens all the time, and it's difficult. Like there's been times where I've been introduced to someone and I'm looking them in the eye. They are speaking directly at me. They tell me their name. And because my mind is wandering somewhere else, I have no idea what their name is. And like the next time I see them, what was your name again? So try to work on giving people that you're speaking with and you're with your undivided attention. And again, it doesn't have to be conversations. Could be if you're hanging out with your kids or watching TV with your wife or going for whatever it is. Give them your undivided attention and be present in the moment. We miss out on so many things by just not living in the moment and focusing on the here and now. Be engaged with them if you are having a question. Ask questions. Oh, that's nice. Well, where did you say your grandson went to college, or whatever it is? Be engaged in it. And just try to avoid distractions. Those thoughts are going to creep in your mind because that's how we're just wired today. We're constantly on the go. But be present, and you never know. And do this a lot of times. Make sure you're doing this, especially, I should say, with family, your friends, your wife, your husband, your kids. Give them your undivided attention because that's what they're going to remember about you. And for the old lady in the grocery store, could be the highlight of her day talking to you. So just never let the person you're with feel like you have something more important to do. Whatever it is you're doing, that is the most important thing. It's a good lesson in life. Again, it's very, very difficult to do, especially if your brain is wired like mine, where I'm thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead of what's happening, and hard to shut my brain off sometimes. But try to seriously work on that this week and be present in the conversations, and don't let that person feel as though you have something more important to do. And that is today's Tuesday motivation and positivity. If you're going to the Jersey Shore this summer, we all know traffic sucks. Moving in is like the worst part of the beach, the shore, wherever. Beach Caddy has you covered. Use Beach Caddy. They have a bellhop service which moves you in from your car to your rental, moves you out into your car. All you have to do is just sit there, tell them where things go, and they got you covered. This thing, it's amazing. So if you're in Ocean City, Stone Harbor, Sea Isle, Avalon, or Wildwood, hit up beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo to take 10% off of your bellhop services. They're booking for the rest of the summer now. And then, of course, use that promo code to get the beach cart rental. I've been telling you about these beach carts, and if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. You get those carts or the wagon, and they have the plastic wheels that as soon as you get off the little boardwalk, boom, you're stuck. These things have the nice blow-up wheels, gets over the sand easy, and they're big. You can pack all your stuff. If you're like us, you take a ton of stuff to the beach. Beach Caddy has you covered. Use the promo code Jimbo to take 10% off of your bellhop services, which is the move-in, move-out, and the beach car rentals. Beachcaddy.app. Take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. Available in Ocean City, Stone Harbor, Sea Isle, Avalon, and Wildwood. These guys are great. All right, let's recap yesterday's question of the day. After the debacle that was the weekend series against the Brewers, I asked you, should the Phillies consider switching Trey Turner and Bryson Stott, moving Stott to short, Turner to second? 60% of you agreed that Trey Turner should not be the shortstop. There's a lot of people saying move him to the outfield and then get a middle infielder who can hit. I'm not opposed to that either. I just don't see it happening. My friend John Foley from 2008 Phillies posted a quote, I guess it was from spring training, from Dave Dombrowski, who said, "We brought Trey in to be the shortstop. However, doesn't guarantee he's always going to be our shortstop." But the tone of the interview basically kind of poo-pooed the entire moving Trey out of shortstop, at least for this season. Maybe next year. I don't know. But who knows, because I feel like the urgency is going to be big this year. I don't know. But thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. Today's question and most of the questions for the rest of the summer are going to focus on our greatest individual Phillies sports season tournament. More on that in a minute. Yesterday's trivia question: Phillies have had pitchers hit home runs 2 times in a game. The Phillies have had pitchers hit 2 homers in a game 7 times. Who were they? Of course, Robert Person in 2002. We talked about him yesterday on This Day in Philly Sports History. Jack Knight did it in 1926. Phil Collins, not that Phil Collins, did it in 1930. Rick Wise did it twice in 1971. Once in a game he pitched a no-hitter. Larry Christensen did it in 1976. And Randy Lurch in 1978. That was yesterday's trivia question. We'll have another one here later in the show. All right, on to the Phils, though, who are in Toronto tonight looking to snap that 4-game losing streak. Zach Wheeler has been scratched from the lineup because his wife is expecting their child. So Christopher Sanchez will take the mound. Just heard that right before I got on the air. So Christopher Sanchez will pitch for the Phillies tonight as Zach Wheeler and his wife are looking to have a baby. Bryce Harper should be returning tonight, much needed to this lineup, as they just have not looked good. They're starting to revert back to their old ways. The chase rate is slowly moving up. So hopefully Bryce back in the lineup will help stabilize things. It's also June. If you're looking for a possible bet for tonight's game, it's always a good bet in June to have Kyle Schwarber go deep. But they look to bounce back and snap that 4-game losing streak up in Toronto tonight. And get back to their winning ways, kind of throw that last weekend against Milwaukee out and move on. But Christopher Sanchez on the mound, Bryce Harper returns as the Phillies take on the Blue Jays up in Toronto. And I will say, little side note here. If you're a longtime listener, sometimes I go on little rants. Every time they play the Blue Jays, I get like PTSD from Joe Carter, especially when they're up in Toronto. So if you're anything like that, I know, and this isn't their spot in the roll call today, but Philly Goat does have the Joe Carter Ruined My Childhood shirt available on their website. All right, it is tournament day. Tournament kicks off today. We're going to try to crown the greatest individual season in Philly sports history. The brackets are posted on my social media. Today we're going to start with the Phillies bracket, so stay tuned for that later in the show. It will be, as I said, for the month of June and July, our question of the day as we roll through the summer, as the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs are ready to kick off this week. And then all we're left is the Phillies. It's the dog days of summer, so we'd like to have some fun. We've done the Lovable Losers 2 years ago. We did the Ultimate Philly Sports Nickname last year. So looking forward to the greatest individual season in Philly sports history. All right, as I mentioned, today is show number 1,000. I made a couple announcements about the future of the podcast yesterday. Starting June 20th, we're going to drop to Monday through Friday. And not for any particular reason. I found a groove, and it's, even if I'm going away on vacation, I have it where I can record. But I think dropping to Monday through Friday will help me kind of focus on the content on the Monday through Friday show. We're going to have some segments sort of lined up. I've been toying with that and ready to kind of kick them off later this month. And it also is going to free up some time, obviously, to spend with my family, so I can go back and do the whole be present and not let them think I have something more important to do. That is a big part of it as well. But it's going to allow me to kind of expand and do more special, I guess, shows, if you want to call it that. Would love to go back to doing more interviews. I love doing the interviews with people and just talking and finding out these stories. And then obviously this Eagles pregame show. Looking forward to that this summer as I'm planning that. But that starts on June 20th. But 1,000 days. And be honest, if you're a longtime listener, if you're not a longtime listener, welcome. Maybe you don't know this backstory. But prior to this day in Philly sports history, I was doing a podcast, Back to the Future, which was a longer form weekly podcast where I took a deep dive into different eras, teams, what ifs, things like that in Philly sports history, all stemming from a book which is kind of on hiatus right now, that I was doing the biggest what ifs in Philly sports history. I had writer's block, and 1,000 days later, or over 1,000 days, is when I started Back to the Future. Here I am. But the first episode of This Day in Philly Sports History was sort of done on a whim. It was the NFL opening night back in 2022 on September 8th. And said, you know what? This would be an intriguing thing. Like, you see this all the time, like Twitter posts or whatever. I'll just talk about it. And the first episode was only less than 2 minutes. But the first event we covered on This Day in Philly sports history was the Eagles versus the Titans opening day, September 8th, 2002. Eagles had a 24-10 lead, ended up losing that game 27-24. I talked about my experience at the Winner's Circle in Exton, which doesn't even exist anymore. And the rest, as they say, is history. It has grown from that 1 minute, 50-some second first episode to what you see today. But really, I thank you for listening, tuning in every day, and spending at least a little bit of your morning, afternoon, evening. I know some people listen on their drive to work, some people when they're working out, some people on their evening walk. So thank you. Could not do it, could not be here without you. And it's been a pretty good 1,000 days in Philly sports history. You had the Eagles. The first year was great. I had the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, Phillies going to the World Series, the Union going to the MLS Cup. Sixers were at least competitive. Flyers, hasn't been good for my Big Five. But this 1,000 days, it's never something I would have thought I ever could have done. It's just become part of my morning routine. I get up between depending. Today I slept in because it's just been a long couple week stretch here at work. But typically I'm up between 4 and 5 every day, kind of putting together the final notes and things like that. But today is our 1000th episode, and for that, I thank all of you, my loyal listeners. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. Spread the word. If you are a newer listener, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And of course, as always, if you're looking for highlights, newspaper clips, photos, things like that about what we talk about, they're available on all my social media, including my Facebook and LinkedIn. We are a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. So many great opportunities and doors have opened. I've met so many people in 1,000 days, or 1,000 shows, I should say. So thank you for your support. And one of our newest sponsors, you got to love these guys, Lotwin. Get your 3D custom hype chains. These things are amazing. Great for youth sports. Great for bachelor parties, fantasy football, just goofing around, gag gifts, get them for your boss, whatever. These things are great. Go to lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off your order. These guys do great work, very meticulous, and they look awesome too. So get your custom 3D hype chain from lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off of your order. All right, we do have some Eagles news. And it was officially announced that Saquon Barkley will be on the cover of Madden. As expected, it's going to be the picture of him hurtling over the defender against Jacksonville. And what I did not know until I saw the post on social media is I thought they actually used the actual picture from the game, like a still photo of it. No, they had him reenact it. They had him tied up on wires, had a guy in a generic Jaguars uniform, and had him recreate it, which I did not know. But Saquon Barkley will be on the cover of Madden. First time, I believe, since Donovan McNabb was on for Madden 06. Hopefully, Saquon's season turns out a little bit better than what Donovan's did in 2005. And if I see A.J. Brown doing sit-ups in his driveway and lifting weights, I'm going to be upset. But Saquon Barkley will be on the cover of Madden 26. The other Eagles tidbit is the trade with San Francisco for Bryce Huff is official. Howie somehow was able to fix a mistake and set the Eagles up to be in a better position than what they were. And happy retirement to Ronald Darby, who was a member of the Super Bowl 52 winning team. Best known to me for the block he had on Minnesota during Patrick Robinson's interception pick 6 in the NFC Championship game. Got leveled, but he had just enough of who I forget the defender he had, but had just enough to kind of knock him off balance. He went back like 3 yards, but opened up Patrick Robinson for that touchdown. And then, of course, the stunned disbelief when they won the Super Bowl. Everybody was waiting for a flag, and Darby just kind of, for like 5 seconds, was like, did we win? Did we win? So happy retirement to Ronald Darby, who was a huge piece and a huge part of that Super Bowl winning team in Super Bowl 52. I mentioned the Clashing Conferences. We are a part of their sports fan network. They're always looking for members. Great things are happening over there. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can get involved and what they have to offer. If you need media services, they can hook you up there as well. But new podcasts drop on Thursday and Friday. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can become a part of the network, get your voice heard, and lots of good things happening. Check out their podcasts every Thursday and Friday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, Philly Goat, in honor of 1,000 days. Philly Goat has pretty much been with us since almost the beginning. Love them. I told you about the Father's Day shirts I just got earlier this week, which is a great thing. Let your dad pick out what he wants. I got the Tecmo Bowl Tush Push as well as the Cruck Around and Find Out shirts. But you can get the Mr. Sandman's Gym like I'm wearing now. They have those Fanatics Rocks glasses. They're always coming out with new shirts. So go to Philly Goat. You can get Joe Carter in honor of the Phillies playing the Blue Jays. Joe Carter ruined my childhood like many of us in the region. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Go to Philly Goat. Use the promo code. You've been listening. Go support Philly Goat and buy some shirts. All right, June 3rd. We got a little bit of a Phillies, Sixers, Flyers mix today. And first, we're going to go back to 1978. And on this day in 1978, the Phillies beat the Dodgers at the Vet 5-1 when Davey Johnson, yes, that Davey Johnson actually played for the Phillies, hit a walk-off pinch hit grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. And amazingly, it was his second pinch hit grand slam of the season, becoming the first in Major League Baseball history to do it. The only other one I could find that did it was Darryl Strawberry when he was playing for the Dodgers. But a great moment for Davey Johnson, who hit his second pinch hit grand slam of the season on this day to have the Phillies beat the Dodgers 5-1. Bob Boone also homered in that game to knock in the Phillies' other run. And then sticking with the Phils theme, let's go back to 2022. And on this day in 2022, we still were not doing the podcast yet, but the season changed dramatically when Joe Girardi was fired after the Phils started 22-29 on the season. Rob Thompson came in, guided them to a 65-46 finish. They got the wild card, got hot in the playoffs, and rode that to the World Series before running into the Houston Astros and losing. On a side note here, on that day that Joe Girardi was fired, the Phillies came out on fire, beat the Angels 10-0. Kyle Schwarber hit 2 homers, Bryce Harper hit 2 homers, and Bryson Stott, who got regular playing time under Rob Thompson that he was not getting under Joe Girardi, got hot and was a key piece of that playoff run for the Phils. But in 2022, Joe Girardi was fired, drastically changing the course of a franchise and guiding them. And Rob Thompson guided them to the World Series that year. In 1997, after falling behind 2-0 in the first period, Rob Brindamore stormed back to score 2 power play goals in the first to even it up, but it wasn't enough as the Flyers lost to the Red Wings 4-2, losing both games at the Coors State Center to go down 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals. They would head out to Detroit, where it didn't get much better. Flyers managed 2 goals the rest of that series as they ended up being swept by the Red Wings. But for a fleeting moment in the first period, Flyers tied it up, and there was hope for Flyers fans everywhere. And then finally, we're kicking off our tournament for the greatest individual Philly sports seasons. This guy who we're going to talk about today certainly is one of the top seeds in the Sixers bracket. And the 2000-2001 Sixers were crowned our lovable losers 2 years ago. But on this day, the Sixers returned to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1983, beating the Bucks 108-91 in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Allen Iverson went for 44 points, had 7 assists on 17 for 33 shooting, shot 4 for 6 from three-point range, went 6 for 7 from the line. But it just wasn't a one-man show this day. Dikembe Mutombo had 23 points and 19 rebounds. Aaron McKie dished out 13 assists as Eric Snow was in foul trouble. And I'll never forget this. I was in my fraternity house watching the game, and Broad Street was just absolutely insane as the Sixers, we were all excited that this team captivated the region. My buddy Matt from Fort Washington, I'll never forget, somehow managed to get one of the blue Iverson jerseys, and we both looked at each other like, what do we do? I'm like, go put it up in your room. Just take the jersey. But fun times on Broad Street as the Sixers return to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1993, beating the Bucks 108-91 in Game 7. All right, today's trivia question. Davey Johnson hit a pinch hit grand slam on this day in 1978. Who has the most pinch hit grand slams in Major League Baseball history? Davey Johnson hit 2 in one season, but the most in Major League Baseball history is 3, and 4 players are tied for this. Just name one of them. One is a pretty well-known player from the 60s and 70s, so you should be able to get that. But who has the most pinch hit grand slams in Major League Baseball history? Just give me one of the 4, and that is today's trivia question. All right. It's time to kick off this tournament. It's one of the highlights of the summer for me. Love doing these tournaments. But the greatest individual season in Philly sports history. We're going to start today in the Phillies region. And this is sort of a quarterfinal. Top 4 seeds get byes. But the number 6 seed in the Phillies region, Mike Schmidt's 1986 season. He won the MVP, hit .290, which was the third highest average of his career. 37 homers, 119 RBI, led the league in both of them. 547 slugging percentage, 937 OPS, won the Silver Slugger at third base, won a Gold Glove. But how did the team finish? Team actually finished with a winning record, 86-75, second place in the NL East. However, the 86 Mets were just a juggernaut. The Phillies finished 21 and a half games behind the Mets that year in second place. 86 games, you can do the math here, and the Phillies finished 21 and a half games back. The Mets won 108 games that year. But our number 6 seed, Mike Schmidt's 1986 season, MVP, 37 homers, 119 RBIs, a Gold Glove, and the team was competitive. The team was good. The team finished with 86 wins, their highest since 1983. So not a bad season for the Phils. It's just the Mets were that good. Mike is taking on the number 11 seed, 1997 Curt Schilling. Curt went 17-11 in 1997 with a 2.97 ERA, pitched 254 and a third innings, and set a team record with 319 strikeouts, 7 complete games, 2 shutouts, was an all-star, finished 4th in the Cy Young. The team, though, just was not a good team. They finished 68-94 in last place, 33 games back of, I believe in 97, it would have been it was a wild card, so I guess it was the Braves they finished behind that year. But Curt was able to do this for a bad team. Now it's your turn. Which individual season was better? Mike Schmidt winning the MVP in 1986 or Curt Schilling setting the team record with 319 strikeouts for a horrible Phillies team? Hit me up on social media. Hit me up on the Discord channel. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Multitude of ways for you to vote on this. But our first round matchup, number 6 seed Mike Schmidt, 1986 season when he won the MVP, or Curt Schilling's 1997 season when he set a team record, striking out 319, winning 17 of the Phillies' 68 games that year. Vote which individual season was better. On this day, back in 2001, Sixers returned to the NBA Finals. In 1997, Flyers go down 2-0 to the Red Wings in the first round, or the Game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Joe Girardi was fired on this day in 2022. The Phillies immediately respond with a 10-0 shutout of the Angels. And then, of course, in 1978, Davey Johnson, yes, that Davey Johnson, hit a pinch hit, walk-off, grand slam to give the Phils a 5-1 win. Thank you so much for 1,000 episodes. We're going strong. We're not anywhere close to ending this. If anything, we're going to tweak it and make it better. But I appreciate you all listening. If you've been here since day one, if you just joined yesterday, welcome. We are glad to have you. Tell a friend. Tell grandmom. Grandmoms love this stuff. I don't know why. Like my grandmothers, both, God rest their souls, my grandmothers would love this, especially my mom's mom, who was a huge Philly sports fan. Would have been like, I would be hitting her up on the phone for ideas. Like, hey, mom, do you remember this? But thank you. Grandmoms love us. Everybody loves us. Let's have some fun here with the tournament. Hopefully the Phillies bounce back today. We'll have more of that. Tomorrow will be show 1001, and the tournament will continue. Remember, as you go through your weeks, never let the person you're with feel like you have something more important to do. Be present. Give them your undivided attention, and just, it's a good way to live your life. But remember that as you go through your weeks. This, for the 1,000th time, this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 3rd, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Thank you. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.